forgot to change that. So now my calls will be at 5 o'clock rather than at 6.
Right. Yep. Great. All right. Well, I'm just getting us live on Facebook, so just bear with me here for a second.
Okay.
Is it all right to say that in the thing, gut health, viruses and spike proteins? Is that okay to say?
Well, I'd be careful with putting the spike protein and viruses in there, but
Right.
they might take that as making some kind of medical claims.
Okay. Well, I put it on the invite, so I'll change it now. Hang on a second.
Yeah, I'd just be careful about that, because they're really coming down on a lot of nutritional companies. Any kind of medical claim, they really, when relating to this virus, they really are watching that.
Okay.
How are you doing, Carmel?
Yeah, good, thank you.
All right, glad to have you here.
Yeah, thanks. I was just saying to Katie, I'm hoping to make a trip to Melbourne next week, because if I don't go down soon, according to what happens in a few days' time, but if I don't get down soon, who knows when I'll be able to get down there again. So it's a bit,
Right.
It's a bit frightening. We're in very worrying times, as you know.
So they're letting you travel between states now?
Well, I can go from New South Wales to Victoria without being jabbed, apparently, and I can come back. But I don't think Victorians can come to New South Wales.
Oh, okay.
Be able to come home because I live here. So, but for a while there, I was a bit scared to even fly, because often I get sick when I fly with a sinus sort of thing. So I'm just going to double up on everything for.
Okay. I thought you lived up in Queensland.
Oops. Sorry?
I thought you lived up in Queensland because you were at the meetings up there.
No. I just travelled up. It takes me 2.5 hours, I guess, to get up to Brisbane.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I can't land at the moment. So hopefully that will drop the mandates for that very soon as well. I did go up to the border rally at Tweed Heads last weekend, and that was really, really good, really good. Yeah. So numbers are getting bigger and bigger as people wake up more.
Yeah. Well, I think we're going to see more lockdowns and stuff like that over the course of the next couple months, and I mean, it's getting better up here in the States. So
That's good. You've got that group's Doc Fizz official world team. Is that the group I stream to, or have you got two?
No, the SWT World Team.
Oh, SWT. Okay. Oh, yeah. Yep. Okay, great. All right. We're just about going live here.
There we are. We're live and we're being recorded. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the call.
Welcome to the call, everyone. Thanks for watching today. So we've got Dr. Kurt with us, and we've got the lovely Carmel Campbell, and we're going to be talking about gut health today and immune support and the sort of things that you can be doing to take care of your health. And I'm going to hand over to Kurt to kick off the call.
All right. Well, thanks for being here. Thanks for joining us. And for those of you that are watching the recording, thanks for taking the time. We try and keep these calls about half an hour, and we talk about different things that we can do to help support your body so that you have better health and optimization of your immune system. And well, I guess it was last week you and I were talking, Katie, and we were talking about the fact that we should really talk about gut health.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it's so important when you're discussing immunity.
That's right. And how I guess, how does the gut respond in times of, I guess, I'm trying to use the right words here. So, you know, when the body's under assault, what role is the gut playing straight off the bat? You know, if something comes into the body, if it comes in through the nose or the mouth, what does the gut do? How is the gut involved? And, you know, what's important about that?
Yeah. Well, you know, and it's not just the gut, you know, Katie. I think that you know, that when we say the gut, we're limiting it too much. We really should say the various microbiomes in the body, right? Because in your nose, up in your nasal cavity, there's a microbiome. When you get up into your sinus cavities in your head, there's a microbiome. When you get down in your various organs, there's a microbiome. In your esophagus, in your mouth, actually on the surface of your skin, there's a microbiome. There's a healthy bacterial layer, and so when we talk about these microbiomes, we probably shouldn't limit it to just the gut.
Okay.
You know, you know, so in the lungs, there's a microbiome, and basically what I'm going to say is that, you know, when you have a surface of human cells that are exposed to the outside environment, our body has this layer of mucus and healthy bacteria on the surface of your skin. You have that, and it protects you. I mean, they've even shown that it can help protect you against the UV radiation. But you know, so inside your body, you know, when you think about it, the mouth, the nose, the esophagus, the stomach, I mean, all of these places, it's a surface that's exposed to the outside environment. And so in order to protect it, the body has a mucus layer, and inside that mucus, healthy bacteria and healthy yeast and other things. I mean, there's they grow in that mucus.
Right.
And so that they've shown that there's like 30,000 different strains of healthy bacteria.
Right.
And so what happens is that, you know, as we age, you know, we'll just talk about aging first. As we age, the number of healthy bacteria, the number of strains of healthy bacteria goes down. So there's fewer different variations of the healthy bacteria in our gut, and that's just due to age.
Wow.
Then we add on to that a lot of us have been on antibiotics for long periods of time, and that antibiotic activity, it doesn't just kill the unhealthy bacteria, it kills the healthy bacteria as well. It's non-discriminate, and you know, years ago when they first invented penicillin and other antibiotics, they used to give you probiotics along with it.
Right.
Well, for some reason they quit doing that. So when you kill off that healthy bacteria, the idea is that the healthy bacteria would come back quickly and rebuild. But what they're finding is that's not necessarily true in, I'm just going to say in all people, you know, I mean, because I'm sure there's some people that could go on antibiotic and rebuild their gut really quickly. So I'm not going to say it's everybody, but I'm going to say that it's some people.
Yeah.
And then we take and look at the food that we eat, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you're aware of this, but you know, one of the top consumers of antibiotics isn't actually humans.
It's cattle.
It's cattle and animals. And what they do is they mix it with the food, with the animal feed, And so these animals are getting a low level of antibiotics, and so then when we eat that meat, we're getting those antibiotics in our body. And I've had people tell me, yeah, but when you cook the meat, it gets rid of the antibiotic. And some scientists say that, but a lot of scientists tell me no, that's not necessarily true.
Right.
So again, what do those antibiotics do? Well, the same thing that it would do is if you took a shot of penicillin. It's gonna kill off the healthy bacteria. So and I'm not trying to tell you to become a non-meat eater or a vegan or anything like that. I'm a meat eater.
Yeah, I know.
And but you have to recognize that this is happening,
Mm.
and be proactive about it. And but what ends up happening is when you kill off the normal healthy bacteria, then the bad bacteria are going to move in,
Mm.
and they're going to take over the deal. And now your body responds. The normal body responds to an infection, which is basically that's what it would be. When a foreign bacteria gets in there, your body looks at it as an infection, and so the first response is inflammation.
Right. Well, so you talked about the microbiome, and so we're talking about gut health today, but when we talk about gut health, as you said, the most important part is the good bacteria and the balance, the ecosystem there, the microbiome. But also you mentioned, we've got our microbiome in our mouth, in our nose, in our lungs. And of course, when we're breathing, if we breathe something in, if we bring, a foreign particle in that we don't want, and I think everyone
Like
knows
a virus.
Yeah. If we breathe that in, then if we've got an unhealthy gut, the lining in the gut bacteria, you would say then the lining in the nose, would the lining in the nose and the mouth also be off balance as well if the gut's off balance?
More than likely, yeah, because how can you have one system being okay if another system is out of check? Right? Everything, your body works together. Everything, it's a sum of the parts. It's not just looking at each part individually.
Right. And so that's why, and that makes sense, like the microbiome's all connected, because if somebody gets, say, a fungal infection in their mouth, it's related to the gut, because if you start fixing the gut, because that's this, the microbiome's also in the gut, then that obviously translates into the mouth. And, that is, that's how you start to, you can attack it, I guess, address it topically right there inside the mouth. But also they say, it's important to address the gut too, because obviously the two are connected. If one's out of balance, the other one's, as you've just said, most likely to be out of balance too. And so what sort of things can people do to keep the microbiome in the lungs, in the mouth, in the nose, obviously as well as the gut, in good balance?
Well, before we discuss that, I think, let's say, because like I said, the first thing that happens is this inflammation, right? And it's not inflammation like, oh, I sprained my ankle and you can see my ankle all swollen, right?
Okay, yeah.
Right. And you put ice on it and you go, oh, okay, and you limp for a while and eventually it heals up. It's inflammation that is it's a chronic low-grade inflammation.
Right.
And what they've shown is that when you get this chronic low-grade inflammation in your gut, it translates into a low-grade inflammation all over your body. So, like Carmel and I have had chronic back. Well, you too, you've had chronic back pain. And so the three of us can talk about chronic back pain. And, is it related to the gut? Oh, yeah. When I have digestive issues, my back gets sore. I notice it, and so it affects people, and it causes something else to happen where the cells in the gut and in the mucous membranes, they're a type of cell that they're tightly packed together, and that that's what holds them together, is just the fact that they're pushed together really tightly and nothing can pass in or out. But it's not like they're glued together, you know, they're not bound together with Sharpie's fibers, which is what holds, like, say, a tendon onto your bone,
Yeah.
you know, which looks like a tent stake. It's nothing like that. They're just pushed tightly together. So when you get this low-grade inflammation, what happens is the cells start to separate. They start to push apart like that. And so the inflammation can lead to other things like leaky gut syndrome.
Right.
And when you have leaky gut syndrome, all of a sudden now your food can be absorbed before it's not broken down. So you can have what's called incompletely broken down proteins, ICPs, which get in your body. Your immune system looks at that and says, hey, that's not normal. And it starts to attack it. And then it builds antibodies. Well, let's say that that's a protein that looks like the protein in your pancreas, right? So if it's attacking this incompletely broken down protein that came from your food, came through your gut, through the leaky gut, but now it cross-references and it says, hey, it looks like this one over here in your pancreas, and it starts to attack that. You know, I was just discussing this with a friend of mine the other day. That can trigger, some scientists are saying, that can trigger type 1 diabetes. And, you know, there's 85 different known named autoimmune disorders. And if you break it down and you start doing your research on it, it's all related to the gut. They're all related to the gut or these other microbiomes, you know, like in the lungs and the nose and things like that. So it can cause disease, right? It can cause these named diseases. And so here we are, you know, looking at that. And so, you know, now I think it's a great time for you to lead in with what can we do about it?
Okay, what can we do about it? And before I do that, Carmel, did you want to ask anything? You know, feel free to ask a question. And if anything comes to mind or a comment there.
I find this all really interesting because it takes me back to when I was still teaching. I got really sick with a sinus infection.
Right.
And having a lot of antibiotics. I had a classroom which had mold in it.
Oh, gee.
And there was a lot of mold. I didn't know about the dangers of mold at that point. I had different people coming in and say, oh, smell my carpet. Look at this. Does this look right? And all of this sort of thing. But the doctor put me on antibiotics, which didn't help. And that grabbed up more and more. So by the end of it, I was going to the hospital for intravenous antibiotics. And that still didn't help. So I was sent for an x-ray and my head was just riddled with infection. And the doctor said to me, how do you feel like being in hospital? And I said, oh, I think that I need to be. So I had a sinus drainage operation done. And then when I went for my postdoc.
Did they do the operation?
Oh, well, things up my nostrils and cleaned out the sinuses all up around here. They sucked it all out. But we went back to the specialist for my postdoc thing. He asked me how I was, and I said, well, I'm still coughing. Was one of my main problems. And he said, you won't want to be after everything we've done. And I said, no, I don't want to be, but I am.
Yeah.
And that cough, I had that cough for a long, long time after that as well. So that's been a long journey of mine. This is going back over 20 years. So it's just something I'm working on.
When did you realize that it was when did you realize, oh, the classroom's the problem, that's where the source of the infection probably started?
Well, no one actually told me that that's what it was. But I started to look into the health of teachers before me who were in that classroom as well. It was a manageable one. Yeah. And I went up to my boss and said to him, I think I got sick from the classroom, from the mold in it. And he said, well, I'm not putting that on your sick report. So, but it wasn't until after I'd left the school that demerable had been taken away. So I don't know if I started yet, but nothing got done, and it just made me wonder. No one learn about the dangers of mold until just the last few years, really.
So Kurt, with the mold that she experienced, she's sharing, the mold spores become airborne and start floating around in the air, and then you breathe them in through your nose and mouth. Is that right? And then depending on how much mold's in the environment, now it's an assault on your immune system's going to work to try and get it out.
Yeah, you're gonna damage that mucous membrane. You're gonna damage, the microbiome. Your bacteria, your healthy bacteria, are trying to fight off those mold spores. And then what treatment do they give you? Oh, they give you antibiotics. So they kill off the bacteria that are trying to treat the thing, which actually makes it worse. So the long end of the story is that, in essence, they actually made you worse by treating you.
Yeah. Wow.
Exactly. And also, as you know, a lot of people know, when I broke my back, that was 7 years ago, I was on a lot of pain medication, for very heavy pain medication for at least 12 months. And then I gradually tried to ease off it, but I wasn't doing very well at coming off it. And I did a lot of gut health programs. I was doing medical medium detox programs and healthy living programs. And I'd been to a detox retreat. I'd been to several naturopaths. I'd been to several doctors. Again, I still had this cough that I couldn't get rid of. And I'd had blood tests, I'd had x-rays, I'd had acupuncture, I'd had chiropractic treatment. I had so many treatments, but I was more or less told by everyone that I might just have to learn to live with it. But even, this is still 5 years after I broke my back, and I had a lot of pain at this point. And people would ask me, how's your back? And I'd think, well, my back was actually okay, but my pain, I still had a lot of pain, and I couldn't understand how come I had all this pain after all the time. And it wasn't until I actually met Marsha up in Brisbane and I heard her story. And I met with her because at this point too, not only my pain and my cough, but my legs were really weak as well. And I was having trouble walking. And, one step, just to lift one leg in front of the other, it was really heavy, and I was worried. And people would say to me, we're getting old, you've got to expect, because I had osteoarthritis as well. You've got to expect some aches and pains as we get older. And I thought, well, yeah, but not this much, surely. I mean, I was in my mid-50s at this point, and I thought, I don't want to be in all this pain.
That's right.
So explained my symptoms to Marsha. She said, that's leaky gut, that's autoimmune. I had no idea.
Yeah.
No idea that.
Yeah, and I remember when I was talking to Marsha, before she started getting better, and I was explaining this to her, how the gut was so involved with the inflammation, and we put her on probiotics, which she had already been taking, but we got her using fulvic acid and humic acid, and boom, all of a sudden she just got better.
That's what she did with me too. And what she suggested to me, it made a big difference to me, and I felt so good. So instead of probiotics, I was taking Synbio, and I didn't know about new pain medication could wreck the gut. I learned as I went along, but I didn't know anything about the lining of the gut. I mostly knew about, the microbiome, but I didn't know anything about the lining of the gut and how that stores a lot of chemicals and toxins and that sort of thing as well. So as I learnt more about the gut and started balancing the bacteria and healing the lining of the gut, it started to take my pain away, got rid of my cough, helped my legs move better. And it's just amazing. But it took me all that time to learn that.
Yeah. Yeah, fantastic. Well, what a great story to be sharing with everyone. And, so it makes me think about another question, Kurt. If somebody's got an unhealthy gut, and I mean, their diet's not that great, they're not taking any sort of a nutritional support to balance that microbiome or support their gut health, and maybe they don't go to the toilet that often, what impact will that have on their immune health when it comes to fighting off the sort of things that everybody's worried about? What sort of impact would that have for someone?
Well, I mean, and some of it might sound kind of gross, but I'm going to say it anyhow, is that, okay, so we've all been, driving down the road and we see an animal that got hit by a car, right? Down in Australia, maybe a kangaroo or a wombat or something like that, right?
Okay, I'm already grossed out.
Yeah, here in the United States, it might be a deer or something like that. But you see that animal along the side of the road, and over a period of time, that animal that got hit, just through nature, it naturally dissolves and disintegrates and decomposes that animal, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, if you eat food, which we all do,
yeah,
no matter if you're vegan or a meat eater, if you eat, what's happening to that meat or that food? I mean, I don't care if it's vegetable protein and fats and things like that. If you aren't going to the bathroom on a regular basis, what's it doing?
Sitting in the gut, rotting.
Yeah, and what temperature is your gut?
The perfect temperature for bugs.
Yeah. So you got all that stuff that's living inside of you, and when unhealthy bacteria, when an unhealthy fungus, when an unhealthy mold is living inside of you, right? I mean, the key word is it's alive, it's living, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just like you have to poop every so often. So what do you think that fungus is doing?
It's pooping? I don't know.
Yeah. What do you think that bacteria is doing?
Well, they give off a byproduct, the same?
They're pooping. Yeah, they give off a byproduct called poop, right? And, and like I said, I mean, you think about it and you go, oh, holy cow, that's why you want to have normal bowel movements, once or twice a day. Twice is actually considered healthy. And if you're not, then you got that food that's rotting inside of you. It's producing all these chemicals. And they found that unhealthy bacteria produce 6 neurotoxins.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And right. So think about it.
Brain toxins.
Neuro, right? Just break it down. Neuro. What's it doing? Well, it's going to affect your nerves. So it might excite the nerves a little bit more. So it's going to excite the pain fibers. When it excites the pain fibers, what does it cause? More pain.
Yeah.
Right. When it affects the serotonin receptors, right? It might cause depression. Right. I mean, all these different things. I mean, we don't have enough time to talk about all that, but just think about that. And so it's causing all of these things to go on. So not only now are you getting that inflammation, that chronic low-grade inflammation, all of a sudden now you're having this effect on your nervous system, and it's going to affect all the other systems of your body.
Yeah, wow. And that's why when people, if they're not going to the toilet regularly, they can get back pain, stomach pains, headaches, just generally and the word feeling sluggish, because all those bugs are building up, all that byproduct, all that bacteria is building up in their body and not coming out.
Combined with the inflammation, the low-grade inflammation triggered by your body's own immune system to begin with.
Yeah.
Right. So now let's relate it to what's going on in the world right now. Right. What do we have going on in the world where we have this COVID-19, this virus, right? And it's affecting this this ACE site, receptor site, and it's causing this thing called this cytokine storm. Well, what is that? That has to do with inflammation as well. So all of a sudden you're getting this overwhelming inflammation, this overwhelming inflammatory effect, and your body can't handle it.
Right.
And that's your body's trying to react, as quick as it possibly can. It's trying to throw in all the soldiers. What can we do? But it can't keep up to the inflammation, because the inflammation is growing faster than your body's response to it. Well, part of it is, look at the less than 1% of people who are having severe effects from COVID, right? They have heart disease, they have Alzheimer's, they have this, they have that. Well, what are all those diseases? Diabetes, what are all those diseases? Inflammation.
Yeah.
Every disease, every chronic disease has inflammation as one of its key components, right?
Right.
And so, is it important to keep your gut in check? You're dang right.
Yeah. So really, anyone who has any health challenge, the first thing they should be doing a mental check is, how is my gut functioning? How am I going to the toilet okay? Is my microbiome more likely to be imbalanced and out of balance? And what sort of things, what can you explain to people the difference between doing something topically versus internally? Like, if you've got an issue with your skin, some sort of rash or something like that, what do you do for that on the topical level versus internally?
Yeah. Well, think of it like this, like we said, you've heard us say on this call, the three of us have said it, all these systems are connected, right? Yeah. And so your skin is a filter. It's a huge filter. You filter more toxins in and out of your in and out of your skin cells than you do through your liver and kidneys combined, right? So if I have some toxins in my body, isn't it possible that my body's going to push them out through my skin? So if I have a rash, say dermatitis, for example,
yeah,
right, it might be due to the fact that I'm using the wrong laundry detergent. It might be because I'm using the wrong skincare. It might be because I'm using the wrong soap on my skin and things like that. And so, that's going to cause the irritation, and your body's going to push it out through the skin. So if you put like some topical type stuff on it, like cortisone creams and things like that, sure, it's gonna make it feel better. Right? You could take an oatmeal bath and it's going to feel better, but is it really fixing anything?
Right.
No. Just quit using that cortisone cream and see what happens. It comes back. And so the bottom line is where I'm going with this part is that I'm saying that you've got to fix the gut. You got to fix those microbiomes in the body, and then your body will respond better.
Okay, great. And so we'll go on to, so what products in our range can support the health of those systems?
Well, number one, the first thing that we want to do is we want to do a detox, right? Okay. We've got to clean out the plaquing, the mucoid plaques, which is, it's like scrubbing your oven, right? If you use your oven, it's going to get a buildup of junk in there, and eventually, you're going to have a film inside of your oven, and in your gut, because we're at the perfect temperature for that unhealthy stuff to grow. It's like a oven inside of us that's cooking at a low temperature, and so we get a buildup of this slime inside of our gut, and it hardens, and that's called mucoid plaque. And and so they found in what did they say? Elvis had like 50 pounds of mucoid plaque in his body when they did his autopsy. Wow. John Wayne had 75 pounds of mucoid plaque in his gut when they did the autopsy. Think about that. All the people that are overweight, maybe your problem isn't that you eat too much. Maybe the problem is that you've got too much mucoid plaque inside of you. Maybe you got 50 pounds of that junk that you're hauling around. Well, that's not going to be healthy. It's going to plug up the cells. It's going to cause problems and things like that. So we have a product that's called Super Detox.
Yeah.
And the way Tom designed it, Tom Senior and Tom Junior designed it, was that it helps the body. So it melts this. It's like using an oven cleaner, and it cleans out your oven.
Yeah.
And you don't use it every day. You go on it, you use it for, you build up, like spray a little spray in there. I mean, it's a capsule, but I'm just, so you can visualize it. I want people to be able to visualize it.
Mhm.
And you take this pill and you do it for a week and you clean the system out.
Hmm.
That would be what I would consider step number one, right?
Okay.
If you've never done any nutritional products before in your life, that would be step number one, because you're not going to absorb your vitamins and minerals from any of the other products efficiently if you don't get rid of that mucoid plaque.
Right.
Then I think the step number two is really getting rid of the inflammation. Well, I like our product Fucoid. I mean, I love our product Fucoid. There's so many things. I was just reading more and more about it today, reading about Fucoid because it's a good friend of mine got diagnosed with cancer, and so I'm looking up what's the best thing. Well, if you look at like on PubMed, there's thousands of studies on Fucoid, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that it kills off this bacteria and unhealthy bacteria, gets rid of inflammation, and antifungal, and we're talking about that. But it actually is really good for cancer as well, because it's anti-angiogenic, which means that it cuts off the blood supply to these tumors, and tumors need blood supplies.
Mhm.
And so if you can cut that off, it's going to be really helpful with that. So we can't make any medical claims. We can't say, oh, it kills cancer and things like that. The FDA, the TGA don't allow us to say that. But we can say what it does is supports the body's systems in cutting off that blood supply. And by cutting off that blood supply, it's going to do that. But when we're talking about the gut, it gets rid of inflammation. And then I really think, so now what we've done is we've gotten rid of the inflammation. Now we can repopulate the healthy bacteria. And two products that I love for that purpose. Number one is Body Shield.
Yeah.
And Body Shield has what we call fulvic acid. And what fulvic acid is, it's a decomposed seaweed. It's decomposed seaweed, and it creates a bed for your garden. Think of it like putting compost on your garden. It creates the bed so the seeds have a place to grow.
Okay.
And so that's what the fulvic acid does. I mean, it has a lot of other properties as well that I won't get into right now, but it does that. And then you throw in the seed, which is the Balance D. And the
Right.
Balance D has all of these healthy bacteria. I don't remember how many billions of strains of healthy bacteria is in there, but it repopulates. And now you've created that garden for your body to grow this healthy bacteria. And then we follow up with, now giving the body nutrition, which is the Spectromax, and we give the body the fiber, and we can use this new product that we have called Sizzle Collagen B3. And what the Collagen B3 does is it tightens up those junctions. Remember I was saying how the cells in the gut are tightly packed together? Well, when they get inflamed, they become loosely packed.
Right.
And the collagen tightens that back up. It tightens up those junctions. So in my opinion, that's how you approach this thing. I can't say treat. I want to say treat, but I'm going to say that's how you approach this. And all of a sudden, like Carmel was talking about, you start feeling better. Your depression starts to go away. Your chronic pain goes away. You feel better. You look better. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Well, that sounds like a great plan and a good reminder for everyone on the call. And there's four key steps, and then the nutrition comes in after the fourth step. So that would be a good thing. Actually, we could put in, your newsletter and share those steps with people. And that would be, a great thing for really everyone to do who's concerned about their health and wanting to take care of it. Do you want to talk about, just give a quick disclaimer? We probably should have given it at the start.
Yeah. Well, I think I've been giving a disclaimer all along, is that we can't make any medical claims. We can't treat disease. We're not making any claims saying we're treating disease or anything like that. All we're saying is that we're optimizing the body's own system, and then let the body fight off these various invaders and whatever it happens to be, and removing the toxins, and and removing toxins, that's not a disease. That's a function. So we can say that, improving the function of the gut, improving, that kind of thing. We can say those things because that's not a medical claim. But if you have a disease, of course, seek the help of your healthcare provider, and I'm not going to tell you have to listen to what they tell you, because they don't always know what they're talking about. But, I probably shouldn't have said that, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess what you could say, if you're not happy with your healthcare provider, you seek another one until you find someone you're happy with.
That's right. And always question them, just say, hey, I heard these three people on a conference call talking about this and this and this, get their opinion out of it, I mean, of course, most of them aren't going to know anything about it because they have very minimal study on nutrition when they go to school, and they just want to push their drugs on you. But
yeah, I mean, that's where an integrated doctor can be quite good, when there's those type of doctors that have done study in the field of naturopathy as well as general medicine practice, and they can combine a little bit of the two together, so they have a working knowledge of both. So I think that can be quite helpful. But with that being said, I guess we can leave it there. We've been going for 43 minutes, and we don't want it to go too long for everyone. So Carmel or Kurt, did you have anything you wanted to say before we wrap up?
Well, I take and love all of those products, and highly enough, but again, I love all of the sizzle products. But yeah, definitely gut health needs the focus to get rid of pain, and skin health, that sort of automatically improves everything. Automatically improves.
Yeah.
And Katie, before we close the call, I just want to tell people, if somebody gave you this recording and wanted you to watch it, they're concerned about your health, and get back to them. They can get you on the products, and they can show you how to get started.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, great. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for jumping on. Thanks, Sally. Okay, we'll see you next time. Thanks for getting on, Carmel.
Oh, thank you. That was really interesting. I love it.
Great chat.
Thank you.
Okay, bye, everyone.
All right.
See you.
Bye.